to my channel and to a brand new video. Today we are doing an unhaul. I really hope the lighting's okay. I'm obviously not filming in my bedroom. I just fancied a change of scenery. I hope that's okay. I have a stack of books next to me that I am unhauling, and it's only because I need space on my shelves. My shelves cannot breathe. So I'm just trying to keep on top of unhauling at the moment, keeping things fresh, and yeah, making space for new books. So I'm going to dive straight in with absolutely no order. First of all, we have Zone 1 by Colson Whitehead. I really fancied reading this because it was a zombie apocalypse story, but I've read some reviews and it doesn't sound like it's going to be my kind of zombie apocalypse story. It also won the Pulitzer Prize, and I know this is going to sound stupid, but it's won the Man Booker, and I think it's just the Booker now, but it's also won the Pulitzer Prize. This is going to sound so dumb. Books that win those awards are not books I like. I don't think I've ever liked one. They come across as pretentious. They come across, to me, as poorly written because they're trying so hard to write them the way that an awards group of things would want them. And the same with movies. I don't like movies that have won all these awards. Like, what was that After Sun movie that came out recently? It was terrible. It had barely any story. It had barely any dialogue. The guy acting in it, yeah, he was great because he was in The Guy from Normal People. But it was a boring ass movie, and I watched the whole thing just for it to end without an answer. And that won all the awards. It just as an example, I don't read books that win awards. I don't like watching movies that have won a lot of awards, except for Dune. Dune's really, really good. That deserved all the awards. But yeah, bit of a ramble there, but that's why I don't want to read this anymore. And from the reviews, apparently that it does fit that stereotype. Then we have, to go against what I just said, Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents. I'm pretty sure this won a lot of awards. But it is pretentious, so it does fit into the stereotype, but I did really, really enjoy this book, and I ran out to buy the sequel, but as it's taken time for me to finally pick up this sequel, I've come to the realization I'm not interested in reading it. I think this ended really, really well, but I think this one's going to be more surrounding that religious group, New Earth cult thing, and I don't want to read about it. I don't like reading about those kind of things, so I think what I read of this one was enough. I really enjoyed it. I won't reread it, so I'm more than happy to get rid of these books, except I had a really nice experience with this, and also they're really popular books, so I'm sure someone will enjoy these. And next I have Pandoras Jar by Natalie Haynes. I have unhauled this before and then taken it off my unhaul pile. I won't lie. It's an interesting non-fiction story about the Greek myths. It's just, I've tried to read it a few times, I haven't gelled with it, so I'm just going to finally accept that I don't want to read it. Then we have Booked on a Feeling by J.C. Lee. This has a really cute cover, so I really, really want to keep this, but the reviews on this on Goodreads are like a 3.3. Now, I have not seen like a normal romance book that long in a long, long time, so I'm not going to waste my time because I have such a long romance TBR. Like, I have a whole shelf filled. I don't want to be wasting my time on books that aren't that good just because they have a cute cover. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'm just going to pass on this one. Then we have The Death of Mrs Westerway by Ruth Ware. I have tried to read every Ruth Ware book, and I have disliked every Ruth Ware book. I think I've given every single one a 2-star. So this one on my TBR has got to go. I don't want to read it. I don't want to waste my time. Every premise she writes sounds so interesting, including this one, and that's the problem, is they sound so interesting, but they're not interesting. And so I don't want to read it. So I'm just going to let it go. I obviously don't like Ruth Ware, and that is fine. I don't like her. I don't need to like her. I just need to stop buying her books. Then we have A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. I was really, really interested in this one until somebody didn't know how to put a spoiler warning on their post, and I found out what happens at the end. And naturally, I don't want to read it now that I know what happens at the end, because why would I? I know this was a sad romance, now I know why, so yeah. Unfortunately, as much as I really wanted to read this one, I don't if it's going to be spoiled for me. So I'm gonna let that one go as well. Thank you to people who don't know how to put a spoiler warning on their posts. Next we have All Grown Up by Jamie Attenberg. Granted, this one still intrigues me in regards to what it's about, because it is about an ex-artist who lives in New York navigating their 30s. However, the reviews of this one on Goodreads are nothing but poor. I don't think it delivers what I want it to deliver according to other people. And so again, I'm not going to waste my time. I have so many books I want to read. I need to stop wasting my time on mediocre books. So if I can eliminate them at the source, which would be to stop buying them, that would be best. But for now, I'll just resort to getting rid of the ones I have. Then we have A Room of One's Own and Three Guineas by Virginia Woolf. Now I would love to be the person who would read this. I would love to be. Because I bought it because it was like a feminist essay that changed the world of feminism. But I have a few reasons to get rid of this. Number one, I'm not going to sit here and read an essay. I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry, I'm just not that intellectual. Uni ruined me. I don't want to read stuff like this anymore. Maybe prior to uni, yeah, but not anymore. My degree destroyed me. Plus, classics. I get that it changed feminism, but I would rather read about current feminism that includes trans people and women of colour. I want to read actually inclusive feminism. And I'm not saying this isn't, because I don't know. I have not seen anyone say it isn't, but I don't think it's going to be when it was written in Virginia Woolf's era. I would rather spend my time reading modern essays on feminism if I was to read anything. So, passing on this one, purely for that reason. Then I have Ivy Owen's Scandalized. I read this in June. Really enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5. I thought it was a really good romance, but it is one I would never reread. And so I'm not going to keep it because I only keep books that I want to reread. Same with They Drowned Our Daughters by Katrina Munro. Well, not saying because I didn't like this. I gave it 2 stars. And I was tempted to keep it because I was like, oh, I'll reread it and see if I prefer it in the future. But why would I put myself through that? I never reread anyway, so why would I reread something I don't like? Doesn't make sense to me. I wanted to love this. I'm sad I didn't love this. But it is a very slow-paced horror, like so slow that I couldn't enjoy a word of it. And yeah, it was just annoying and jumped around a lot of timelines and left me very confused. But overall, it was a very enjoyable story. Just should have been told in a different pace. Then I bought The Ballad of Reading in Gaol and realised it was a poetry collection. So I began to read it and realised that is the last thing on this planet I want to read. I'm not going to say it's terrible because obviously it's not, because it's a classic that everybody likes, but that's not the kind of poetry I want to read, so no thank you, even though the cover is so cute. Then we have Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors. I gave this either a 4.5 or a 5. I absolutely loved this book, but it was so cripplingly sad. I have a video up somewhere on my channel reading this and crying my eyes out on the internet, and it was so funny I left it in the video. And don't get me wrong, it's not even like a traditionally sad book. I just was sad reading it, and I don't ever want to put myself through this again. But also I read the audiobook instead of reading the physical book, and I really liked the audiobook, so that's how I would like to read it again if I was to do so. So I would really like somebody else to have the opportunity to read this amazing book, so I'm going to pass it on. Not because it's bad, because it's actually the total opposite. It's brilliant. Then I have In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. Another one that I thoroughly enjoyed. I think I gave it a 4 or 4.5 stars. Really enjoyable, but the issue with this is it's a thriller with a really big twist, meaning that now that I know the twist, there ain't a chance I'm reading this ever again. Because I've been there, I've read it, I know what's happening. And I don't think rereading it would give me any new information, because I don't think there was any hidden hints. I just didn't get it. So I really like this one. I'm not unhauling it for any other reason other than it's just not going to be a reread, and somebody else should read this who is going to also love it like I did. Then I have I don't know what the trilogy's called, but it's a trilogy by Sarah Dessy. We have The Marriage Game, The Singles Table, and The Dating Plan. And I've had these on my TBR for a little while. I was mostly interested in The Dating Plan because a lot of people talked about this. Again, after seeing some reviews, these don't stand with bad reviews. They're about a 3.5 on Goodreads. That's not a 4 star, that's not blowing me away. And I have to be harsh now. about what I'm spending my time on, because my TBR is overly long. I have a book buying problem. My Kindle TBR is like 800 books now. I need to just get on with books that I want to read, and this has been sat on my TBR for a few months and I haven't made any leap to read it, so I'd rather just pass on this altogether and accept that I don't want to read it, I guess. So I'm going to pass these on. Next we have Jade City by Fonda Lee. A 5-star for me. I absolutely adore this book, so you may be wondering why the hell I'm getting rid of it. Well, I have one crease in the spine from where I got to about page 100, and then I stopped because I cannot read this physically. Not for the life of me. I had to get the audiobook of this one. I'm going to read the audiobooks of the other two. I'm never going to reread it physically. It's just too difficult for me. And so I understand that I like to have physical copies of my favourite books. I do understand that. But I only own this one, and I'm not going to go out and pay $9.99 for 2 other books. I'm not going to spend 30 quid on a series I'm never going to read physically. I would rather just keep it as an audio series for me personally. This is growth. This is growth for me. I would never normally have done this. That is why I'm getting rid of this one. It's not because it's bad, because actually it's incredible. And then finally we have Homebody by Ruby Kaur. I'm really sad to be getting rid of this one because I was really excited to own it and excited to own the other books from Ruby Kaur as well and have like a little matching set. And I really did like this, and I don't think I rated it because I didn't really know how to, because Ruby Kaur talks a lot about her personal experience with grooming as a young child, and I don't think that's something I should be allowed to rate because it's not my experience. But it wasn't, I liked it, and I liked a lot of the poetry that related to me, but I think my favourite thing about poetry is relating to it, and I don't relate to that, so I don't feel a lot towards this poetry collection other than I felt sad for her, but it's not one that I would pick up and reread again. I would much rather reread some of the poetry collections I have on my Kindle that I already love. So I am going to pass this one on. I'm still very open to trying her other 2 collections, and yeah, I'm glad I tried this and I'm glad I read it. It was really good, but again, not one I loved enough to keep on my shelves because I wouldn't go for this over the ones on my Kindle, even though I own this physically. So those are all the books that I'm unhauling this month. I just seem to be doing a lot of unhauls lately. They just are making me feel good about my TBR and trying to keep it diminished. We are finally at like 50 something, which is amazing for me. And I finally feel like I might be able to finish my TBR. God, I hope so. Those are all the books I'm getting rid of, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.